Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello friends, once again welcome all of you in the course of Fundamentals of Financial Accounting. In the last video lectures we were discussing about the cash book, how the cash book is prepared, single columnar cash book, two columnar cash books with the different kind of attachments, maybe the two columnar cash book with the cash and bank or cash and discount, or maybe bank and discounts or something like that. Here I am going to discuss with you a three columnars cash book. Three columnars cash book, it's like a cash, bank and discount. Three columns add together, and even in case of any kind of transactions of three columns affected with the specific events of in the business, how it would be impacted in the cash book and how it would be recorded in the books of accounts. Let's see the key takeaways in this particular unit and how we were going to discuss about the main important points like three columnar cash books. What is three columnar cash books and how the three columnar cash book will be prepared? What are the main rules and regulations to consider at the time of recording transactions in the cash book? How it will be balancing to find out the opening and closing balance and recorded opening and closing balance, maybe in the cash column, the cash particular transactions always to be find out the opening cash balance and closing cash balance, but in case of a bank book always maybe not consider the time of opening balance and closing balance. Sometimes it's maybe a opening bank balance with the closing bank overdraft also. And in the case of discount, will not find out the balance in case of the discount column. We'll just have make a total of the debit side, that is actually a discount allowed, and on the credit side it is called a discount received, and at the end it will be transferred to the ledger accounts, and at the last we'll try to understand the different kind of transactions with the illustration. So here first is what is the three columnar cash book. So three columnar cash book is all about we'll have to prepare the three column on each side, debit side three columns and credit side three columns. Debit side three columns with the cash, bank and discount column. At the same particular understanding with the right hand side, like on the credit side, the cash book column, bank column and the discount received column. So the debit side it's considered the receipt and the credit side it's considered a payment specifically for cash and bank. Moving to the another important point, that is designed for a business making frequent payments receipts via both cash and bank accounts. This particular three columnar cash book is prepared because of it is actually easy to understand. The transactions were easily recorded in the three columnar cash book, as well as you will get an idea that what is the balance at the end of this particular transactions and how the balance is actually frequently changed through the different kind of cash and bank transactions. Another important thing is integrated directly with the cash discount tracking and discount received also. Ultimately in kind of any payments and any amount received, or in case of the received amount and payment amount, if the discount is received and discount is allowed, how it would be along with the transactions recorded in discount columns on each side, and you will able to understand that how much total amount of discount received and discount allowed were actually recorded in the books of columns. In case of the any eliminates the necessary and maintaining a separate ledgers accounts for cash and bank. Very simple way that you don't need to prepare the cash book and bank book separately in the ledger book. Because of this cash book and bank book, three columnar cash book is easily compensate your ledger accounts. Only you have to prepare the discount received and discount allowed in the ledger book, because of here it is actually we are not preparing a ledger accounts simultaneously, but it is actually understand that the how much discount received and discount allowed were there, which is to be transferred into the ledger accounts, and at the end of the specific period you will able to understand that the how much total discount received and discount allowed were there. So that you need to prepare only the discount accounts in the ledger book. You don't need to prepare the cash book and bank book in the ledger accounts, because of you will able to understand the closing balance at the end of the specific period. Now here the three core money columns, which are the columns to be prepared on each side. As we already discussed, we are preparing a cash column, bank column and the discount column. The cash column, it shows that the any cash transactions, physical cash transactions, maybe the cash payments to the customers, or maybe the cash payments at the time of any expenses paid. So all the transactions will be recorded here, as well as any amount received in the form of cash also recorded in the cash column, or if you are receiving any income in the in a cash format also to be considered here. So physical cash receipts will be recorded on the debit side, and any physical cash payments will be recorded on the credit side. So we need to identify the balance at the end of the specific period, which is actually showing your closing cash balance, and that is your ledger balance also, right, that we can transfer into the ledger account also. If you are preparing a ledger account specifically for a cash ledger account, so this is actually periodically you are preparing. So at the end of the specific month, what is your closing cash balance will be showing there. Otherwise, this will closing cash balance will be carried forward into the next cash book and showing as an opening balance, and transactions will be appeared on the particular period. The bank column, again, any amount of check received will be considered as a receipt, and any check payment or check given to the customers or maybe for the expenses will be recorded as a payments. So receipt will be considered on the debit side, receipt side. All the checks received and deposited in a bank for clearing will be considered as a receipts, and any check payments for an expenses or any purchases or kind of a goods purchase or a assets purchase or anything will be recorded on the payment side. So at the end, we'll have to find out the balance of the total of the receipts and the payments. Whichever the side is surplus, the deficit will be considered either maybe a bank balance or maybe a bank overdraft. So the check received, it will be deposited, and check issued will be present in the bank for payment. So ultimately that will be debited at that time, and then we'll find out the closing bank balance. Now the last column is the discount column. Already we discussed at the time of two column cash book in the previous video lecture. Discount allowed, it's your expenses, and discount received is your income. So discount allowed, it's your expenses, it should be debit. We are recording on the receipt side, correct, but it is actually an expense. That's why discount allowed recorded on the receipt side. But if you are going to just compare with this thing, when you are going to allow the discount, as I already discussed the last lecture also, when you are having any kind of sales and received lesser amount than the actual receivable amount, the difference amount is your discount. So when you are receiving lesser amount, you are allowing your customers to pay lesser amount to settle your account. So ultimately you are offering a discount, that's your loss. So that's why discount allowed on the debit side, it's an expense, and discount received will be recorded on the payment side, it's on a credit side, because of whenever you make a purchase and you are receiving any you are paying any amount to the people which is actually paid lesser than the actual amount, which difference will be considered, it's your income. So that's why the discount received will be recorded on the payment side. So this is your consideration of a discount allowed and discount received as an expense. Moving next point, that is how this recording transactions in the cash book. The first is opening balance. Opening balance is precisely cash in hand is always debited, because of cash balance cannot be credit. As I already mentioned again in the previous video lectures, if you recall it, cash is always considered, it's a debit. Opening is always debit, closing is always recorded on the credit side, because of the debit is higher than the credit. So the surplus amount will be carried forward into the next month. So that's why it's recorded, the closing cash balance carry forward for the next month will be recorded on here on the credit side, and the same balance will be brought forward in the next month here on the debit side. So cash balance is always debit, so it will be recorded opening cash balance brought forward and on the debit side, and the closing will be recorded on the credit side. Bank, as I mentioned you, bank balance also possible, and bank overdraft is also possible. In case of a bank balance, then it will be treated same like a cash balance. It will be recorded on the debit side, opening bank balance, and it will be recorded in the bank column. And in case of a closing bank balance, it will be credit right down on the credit side at last, that balance carry forward, closing bank balance, and again the next month it will be brought forward on the debit side. But in case of a bank balance, In case if the bank overdraft is there, then the balance, it will be a reverse. That means the opening bank overdraft, it will be recorded on the credit side, not on the debit side, because of the bank overdraft is always showing the more debit balance than the credit balance. So that's why it's considered brought forward here on the payment side, the balance brought forward, bank overdraft, and it will be recorded here on the debit side. Whenever it is closing bank overdraft, it will be a carry forward right down at last on the receipt side, on the debit side, that the bank overdraft is carry forward. The bank overdraft is always a credit balance, and cash balance and bank balance is always a debit balance because of it's in your assets. So cash and bank, it's your assets, that's why it's a debit balance. Bank overdraft, it's your liability, that's why it's always credit balance. Same day check deposits. So if in case of if you are receiving a check from any customers, and if you are deposited immediately in the bank, then it will be considered as a bank transactions, and you can write down in the bank column, then there is no issue. Like suppose we receive a check of rupees 5,000 from so and so and deposited in a bank. So what we have to consider that receive the check from XYZ and the deposited in a bank. So bank is the receiver, bank account debited, and XYZ account is credited. So recorded on the receipt side to XYZ in the bank column amount, whatever the amount of check deposited. But same day if it is deposited. In case of if the check is not deposited in the same day, and if you are retained this check and deposited after some days, maybe 1 day, 2 day or a 5 day, then immediately that transactions will be treated as a cash transaction. So check received from XYZ, but it is retained, not deposited, then we will have to write that to XYZ in the cash column amount of rupees 5,000, check received but not deposited, that's why we write in cash column. Whenever the check was deposited in the bank, then we'll have to make a contra entry. So make a contra entry that this entry at the time of check received, we write down this 5,000 in the cash column were a temporary transactions. Now we'll have to close these transactions, and we deposited a check after 5 days. We have to write the entry that the bank is a receiver, bank account debit, and cash goes out. Actual the cash was not there only, but we were recorded a cash transaction at the time of check received. So that's why we were square up this transaction. So bank account debited to cash account in the date where the check was deposited, and we'll have to write on the receipt side the amount of 5,000, the particulars cash to cash account in the bank column 5,000, and on the payment side by bank account in the cash column 5,000 rupees. So this 5,000 rupees earlier one and this one will be square off. The net entry will be the bank entry, the amount of 5,000 will be reflected in the bank column. And the discount column, as we were discussed already, the discount column, it's any kind of a discount allowed, it will be recorded on the receipt side. Discount amount has allotted to the customers, or maybe to the person who were actually settled his accounts. So write down the discount allowed on the debit side, and the discount received, any kind of a discount received at the time of payment made by you. So it will be considered your income, and it will be recorded on the credit side. At the end of the specific period, we have to make a total of the debit, that is discount allowed, and the payment, the discount received. The total of each discount received and payment will be transferred into the ledger account for the closing balance. Now balancing and posting steps, how it will be recorded. The balancing and posting steps are recorded. That is, first is recorded entries and enter daily cash, bank and the discount items in their respective debit and credit columns. As I mentioned, that 3 columnar cash book, it's also similar like a ledger accounts, right? So cash and bank entry, it's considered, and we have to write the daily based transactions in the 3 columnar cash books. Debit items will be recorded on the debit side, and credit items will be recorded on the credit side, along with the discount allowed and discount received also. Then discount will be considered at the end, the sum of the discount allowed, that is debit, and discount received, that is credit, columns without balancing. So that is the total amount of discount. Balancing we did not find out, as we are actually find out the balancing for cash and bank, but we are not finding out the balancing of the discount column, as I mentioned, because of the debit, it's your discount allowed, it's your expense, and credit, it's your discount received. So both are separate thing. Both will be separately transferred into the ledger account, and we'll have to find out how much total discount during the year and discount received in the year. So that is why we are not find out the balancing in the discount column. We are finding out the balancing only for cash and bank, and will be carry forward. Balance cash and bank, that we will actually find out. Will make a total of the debit receipt side of the cash total and the payment side of the cash total. As I mentioned, I repeatedly mention once again, always the debit of the receipt side of the cash column will be higher than the payment side. Because of it is never possible that the payment of cash will be higher than the receipt. You cannot pay more than the cash is available in your hand. So that is not possible. That's why the receipts cash is higher than the payment. Always the closing cash balance will be find out and will be recorded. But in case of a bank balance, it might be possible both the ways. It is the bank balance or a bank overdraft. So receipt side total of the bank is higher than the payment side total, it's considered a bank balance. But in case of a payment side bank column total is higher than the debit side bank column, then it will be considered as a bank overdraft. Ledger transfer, post discount totals respective ledger accounts and carry forward to the balances. So these are the four things which we have to understand very carefully, and how it will be reflected in the ledger accounts as well as in the specific balancing also. Now we will try to understand the example how this 3 columnar will be prepared. Format is almost like a 2 columnar. One column will be added on both the side. In case of a cash bank 2 columnar, then the discount column will be added. In case of cash and discount column is prepared, then the bank column will be added. In case of a bank and discount column is prepared, then the cash column added on each side. So if you are going to see the format, the date on each side, then the reference number, ledger folio number, that we have to write it. Reference number, it's like it's considered the part of the invoice number or a bill number or something like that. Then this is a discount column, then it is a cash column, and this is the bank column. Right, on the other side, payment, that particulars, then voucher number, ledger folio number, discount received. This is discount allowed. Right, this is discount received. Discount allowed, it means an expense, that's why it's debit. This is discount received, that's why it's credit, it's income. Cash and bank column. So this is the way the format has been prepared. Now we'll see the transactions one by one. From the following transactions, prepare 3 columnar cash books of Mahi. So we are preparing the Mahi's 3 columnar cash book for 2026, month is April. 2026 month is April. Title, the cash book of the current or Mahi whatsoever. Here it is Mahi for May 2026. Now we'll take a one by one transactions. First is opening cash balance and opening bank balance. I told you very precisely, in case of both the balances are there, cash and bank, it's consider your opening balances. Opening balance is always recorded here on the debit side, receipt side. But in case of the bank overdraft were there, then the opening cash balance will be written on the receipt side, debit side, but opening bank overdraft will be written down on the credit side, the first item, opening bank overdraft or opening bank balance. That's it. So here, 2 balance brought forward, correct? 11,000 it's your cash and 4,500 it's your bank. So in the cash column 11,000 and in the bank column 4,500 rupees. Moving to the next transactions, date 3, goods of rupees 12,000 sold to Manoj. So ultimately we are selling the goods to Manoj. So sale of the goods, it's always received in case of if it is a cash transaction. We'll see the further. Manoj issued a check of necessary amount which is deposited in the bank. So ultimately we receive the check from Manoj and it is deposited in the bank. It's clearly mentioned. It means that it's a bank transaction, cash transaction and bank transaction. So the Manoj is a payer and we are selling the goods of rupees 12,000. There is no any discounts and other things were mentioned, whether GST or anything. So that we are not going to calculate anything. So precise transactions, very simple. Check received, deposited in a bank. So bank is a receiver, bank account debit, and that is due to the selling of goods to sales account. So Manoj will not actually writing anywhere in this particular event. This transactions will not be considered the Manoj name. Why? Because of it's a bank transaction. So here the sales account 12,000 write down in the bank column, amount received, deposited in the bank. Moving to the next transactions, date 5, goods of rupees 4,000 sold to Pinky at 10% cash discount and half of the amount is received in cash and the remaining amount by check. First of all, this is the cash transaction because of the goods were sold in and received the amount by cash and bank. The 4,000 rupees goods sold at 10% cash discount, so the discount also will be recorded in the books of accounts. Only trade discount will not be recorded. Here the cash discount is offered, so first 10% discount on 4,000, that is 400. So 400 rupees cash discount, it's discount allowed because of the goods sold. So 400 rupees will be write down in the discount column. Then another thing is, this is the goods sold, so to sales account, date is 5. Then half of the amount is received. So 400 minus from the 4,000, the remaining balance is 3,600. Half of the amount of 3,600 is 1,800, that is received by cash. So it will be write down in the cash column 1,800, and the remaining amount received by check. So the I have 1,800 will be actually by check. So it will be write down in the bank column. So this is the way to enter these transactions in the books of account. Moving to the next transactions, goods of rupees 6,000 purchase from Amit for cash at 5% cash discount. Alright, so ultimately the goods purchased from Amit, 5% cash discount is allowed, so the transaction is completely a cash transaction. 6,000 into 5% will be 300, so remaining amount is 5,700. We purchase the goods, so the transaction journal entry is purchase account debited 5,700, 3,000 actually 300, it's purchase account debited 6,000. 2, we paid 5,700 to Amit, so let's consider its payment to cash account 5,700, to discount received 300. So ultimately discount received in case of purchase will be entered on the payment side. The date is 8 by purchase account, discount received 300 in the discount column, and we paid cash 5,700 by purchases. So this will be recorded the transaction in the books of account like this. Rupees 1,500 deposited in the bank. Rupees 1,500 deposited in the bank, it is considered, it's a part of a contra entry. What would be the general entry when you deposited? Because of we are preparing a cash column also and bank column also. So when we deposited cash in the bank, cash goes out. Who is a receiver? Bank is a receiver. So bank account debited to cash account. So bank balance will be increased and cash balance will be decreased. So we'll have to enter these transactions both the side. One is that the bank is a receiver, so receipt side in the bank column, opposite name it's cash account. This is the contra entry, so we'll have to write the C in the LF, it's a contra entry, and 1,500 rupees deposited in the bank, so 1,500 rupees write down in the bank column. And the payment side, we'll have to write to bank by bank account, contra entry, but write down 1,500 in the cash column. So this is the contra entry. When cash and bank transactions will affect in each transactions, it would be considered as a contra entry. Correct. So in each event, if the bank and cash both will be affected, we'll have to write accordingly in the cash and bank column on each side, and we'll have to write the contra. C is a contra entry, so it affects on both the sides, but it's not affect the single balance. It affects both the balances. One balance will be increased, another balance will be decreased. Alright, so this is the way to enter this transaction in the books of accounts. Moving to the next transaction, that is date 12. Suresh paid rupees 8,400 by cash toward the total debt of 8,450. The difference between these two amounts is 50 rupees. So ultimately Suresh paid 8,400. So we received from Suresh 8,400 cash. 50 rupees we did not receive, so that is actually we allowed discount to Suresh. It's an our expense, so the discount allowed account debit 50. Suresh is a giver, so by Suresh account. So it will be recorded on the receipt side. Date 12 to Suresh, 50 its discount allowed. So debit, received cash 8,400. So in cash column 8,400. Moving to the next is rupees 800 for wages and rupees 600 for stationery expenses are paid by check. So we are allowing this both the expenses and paid by check. So bank is a giver, both are expenses, so both expenses account will be debit. But it is the bank is a giver, so it's your payment. So it will be recorded in the payment side. Wages account debited 800 and stationery expense account debited 600, and write down in the bank column. One is by wages 800 in the bank column and by stationery expense 600. Both these transactions will be write down in the bank column. Next is check of rupees 1,000 issued to monies towards full settlement of account of 10,100. Ultimately check of 10,000 issued to monies. Correct. So Manish is a receiver because of he is our creditor. So Manish is a receiver and amount of received, that is 10,100 due amount. But we paid 10,000 rupees and issued a check. So ultimately we paid through check. So bank is a giver, by bank account 10,000, and we received 100 rupees discount from the money. So that is our income. So discount received 100 rupees also credit. It will be recorded on the payment side because of the bank is a giver on our behalf. The bank balance will be reduced. Date is 19 by Manish because of the Manish is a receiver. 100 rupees we received a discount to pay the full settlement of their dues, and 10,000 rupees bank column because of we issued the 10,000 rupees check. Next is sales tax of 2,800 paid by cash. Again, sales tax, it's your expenses and paid by cash. So sales tax account debited to cash account will be right down in the payment side, date 21 by sales tax 2,800 on the cash column. Moving to the next transaction, rupees 2,200 withdrawn from the business for personal use. 2,200 rupees withdrawn for personal use, ultimately the cash withdrawn, and that is considered a drawings. So drawings account, it's debited and cash goes out from the business, so cash account would be credited. So it is a payment side because of your balance is decreasing. 25 by withdrawn, or you can write here the drawings account also in the cash column 2,200 because of the 2,200 rupees withdrawn for personal use. Next is salary of rupees 1,500 paid by check. Again we paid a salary by check. So bank is a giver, salary is an expense. So salary expense account debit to bank account 27 by salary, but it will be right down in the bank column 1,500 rupees paid through check. Next is received check of rupees 1,200 for dividend. Ultimately we received a check for dividend. Dividend is our income and the check is received 1,200 through check. So bank is a receiver, bank account debited to dividend account, and it will be right down on the receipt side because of it's your income to dividend account in the dividend bank column 1,200 rupees. Next is after keeping cash on hand of rupees 4,000, remaining amount is deposited in the bank. So in case if you have a cash balance more than 4,000 rupees, the more than 4,000 rupees of balance will be transferred into the bank account. So we'll have to make a contra entry for that first, and then after that the closing balance will be maintained 4,000. So closing balance is already given here. The how much closing balance we have to maintain? 4,000 rupees. So closing cash balance will be 4,000 rupees. Above 4,000 will be deposited in a bank. So what we have to do it first? We'll have to do it the total of the cash column, or you can make a total of the discount column also, because of the discount column balance will never balancing, it will be just total only. So discount received, the total will be it's 450, and the discount this is discount allowed, and now the discount received total is 400. So these are the total of each side. Now we'll make a total of the cash column. The cash amount total on the debit side is 21,100, and now we'll make a total of this 5,000, 5,700, 1,500, 2,800, 2,200. So this is 5,000, 10,700, 11,700 and 12,200. 21,100 minus 12,200 would be 8,900 its balance. How much we are keeping in hand? 4,000 rupees we are keeping in hand. So 4,000 we will transfer, we will consider a closing balance. So we'll write here first, we'll leave a one line for making an entry of transferring remaining balance into bank. So this will be write down later on. First we'll write the balance carry forward 4,000 here. That's we are going to write it 4,000 rupees we are closing balance. So 4,000 balance carry forward. Total actually cash on hand is 8,900, in which 4,000 we will keep it in hand. So how much we will transfer? Because of it is written here, the remaining amount will be transferred into the bank. So 4,900 will be transferred into bank. So bank is a receiver 4,900, bank account debit to cash account 4,900. So ultimately cash goes out, cash balance decreasing. Here you have to write by bank opposite name. It's a contra entry, and bank cash balance decreasing. So in the cash column 4,900, and bank balance increasing. So opposite name on the date of 30 to cash contra entry in the bank column 4,900. So this is the last entry through. This is the hidden entry of this transaction, because of they mention very clearly the how much cash balance you have to maintain, remaining will be deposited. So how much we will deposited in a bank, that is the balance. Excess balance of cash is deposited in a bank. Now finally we'll make a total of the bank column, and the bank column total was 25,900 on the receipt side. On the payment side, the bank column total was lesser than the receipt. So we find out the closing balance, that is 13,000, and the balance will be carry forward 13,000 in the bank column. Ultimately both the balances will be brought forward in the next month. This is the April, the next month, first date, balance brought forward 4,000 in the cash column and 13,000 in the bank column. This is called the balancing. This balance, discount allowed and discount received, this both the balances will be transferred into the ledger account in the discount received account and discount allowed account of the specific month, that this is the discount allowed and this is the discount received. Discount received will be allowed, will be considered as a debit, and discount received in the ledger account will be considered as a credit. Both are actually treated in the ledger as an expense and an income. So this is the way to prepare 3-columnar cash book. So I hope you might understand this 3-columnar cash book. You have to do a more practices 3-columnar cash book by your own way also. Still, if you have any kind of a problem, you can raise me the problems and you can ask me the questions through the platform. I'll try to solve out your problems also. Thank you so much.